Howdy. Your eyes do not deceive you. That is a bunch of afflictors and legions. You might be wondering where my logistics ships are. Now, don't tell Mom, but I cheated these in. This isn't a real fleet. Alright, you don't tattle. I won't tattle, okay? Cool. So, we're going to be taking these, and we're going to be fighting 2 Ordos. Now, there really is only 1 Radiant between them. But, you know, it's still 2 Ordos. 271 bonus XP. That's a pretty decent amount. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So this layout, the sort of squashed sideways diamond. I like this one. So we're going to put the 2 of you here, the 2 of you here. We're going to have the afflictors capture these points, which they're really good at. You know, phase space going 3 times the speed, along with the skill that's relevant for that. Makes them pretty good at it. Now, afflictors are also pretty good at killing things, and even when they're not killing things, they're at least debuffing the enemy, so they take 30% more damage, which helps the legions. So they're pretty good. I would say for when it comes to frigates, you got at the 6 deployment point option, you've got the monitor as your defensive option, the omen as your balanced option, and then the afflictor is the offensive option. And all of them are pretty good. Some might say too good, but they're all pretty reliable. You can use them as sort of the point, well, the monitors can't really do point capture too well. But the other ones are great at it. Now let's see. Take. I even have expanded magazines on this thing because apparently the antimatter blasters actually run out of ammo in longer battles. Ain't that something? Oh, howdy, Nova. I actually really like the design of these things, the big glaring weakness. Oof, not quite. You know, some people have suggested giving them Omni shields, and I don't like that at all. I like having the frontal shield with the small arc. You know, it gives them it's like a weak point in a boss battle. You know, it's a classic. Putting that into Star Sector makes player piloting more relevant, because the AI is not going to exploit that weakness to the same level a player can. I think it's good design as an enemy. If you want to put them in your fleet, you start to run into issues. You know, maybe we could shore that up with a few more flux stats here, a few more ordnance points there, but I do want to keep the big glaring weakness when it comes to the shield. I think it's good for the game. Alright. The legions are a really nice complement to the afflictors, because they give you a big, bulky, low-tech shield you can hide behind. And the fighters do a pretty good job at taking care of enemy fighters, which are, you know, pretty annoying when you're piloting a ship that has no point defense. In fact, ooh, look at that. That's a good time for him to flame out. Good for me, anyways. Look at that. Lovely. Now, let's see if I can finish him off without blowing up. Perfect. Yeah, if you come at them from the side, it seems like the explosion is circular. So if you get to the side, you actually have to get closer to the center of the explosion, which basically guarantees that you die. Whereas if you come from exactly from the front or the back, you can get a little more distance from the center of the explosion. Nifty, right? Kind of annoying. Hello, friend. And yes, they have light needlers instead of all antimatter blasters. I find the AI is not as clever as a player, so they tend to shoot into enemy shields, which means you kind of want some kinetic damage. And if it's going to be kinetic damage, it should be a burst damage weapon, because that's just what phase ships are really good for. In fact, that's why the Shade has a lot of issues. I find the Shade dies a lot more than Pirate Afflictors, because it tries to sit in normal space and use its EMP emitter, which is really good on the Omen, but because it doesn't work, you can't hit enemies from phase space, right? Phasing shuts off the EMP emitter, so it doesn't use its phase as often, which causes it to die a lot more often. Afflictors don't have that problem. You just, slap the enemy with your entropy amplifier, and then blast them, either with light needlers or with antimatter blasters. Got a nice overload right there. Let's see if we can finish it off. Even with elite energy weapon mastery, the flux generated by these is quite a lot. Can't always get all 4 shots off. If the 4th one is going to have some extra ammo. In fact, I've even got expanded magazines, because in longer fights, you do run out. Alright, and the extra range of the light needlers is pretty useful, because if you give it just antimatter blasters, they don't like to get in range to use them. Kind of annoying. But they will get in range to use the light needlers a lot. So, giving them those means that they do a lot less time spinning around for no reason, and a lot more time actually killing things. Did you just phase lance your friend? Very nice. I didn't know we had a mole. Didn't know you could have a mole. This is not a good place to unphase when there's all these lances pointing at me. Yes, we're in the first phase of the Remnants, which is, well, perhaps the second phase, but the first phase we might call the Nova Rush, which is accompanied by spamming all of the carriers, frigates, and destroyers, because when you blow up Remnants, they always, or I suppose, when you blow up anything, they always send out the smallest ships first and then work their way up to the biggest ships, which means that the first phase is destroyer and frigate spam, the second phase is cruiser spam, and the third phase is when the Radiants come out for the last stage of the boss battle. I'm not sure that was intentional, but it does give the fight a nice pace to it, where each phase plays a little bit differently. Not for me, though. This Afflictor is just going to go around killing things either way. Now, normally the Destroyer and Frigate phase would also have some Novas as the centerpieces, kind of like a Nova Rush right at the start. But if you've got a nice little Afflictor you can pilot around, those guys won't last very long. Hello. Do you think you could do me a favor, gentlemen, and just die? That would be much appreciated. You just want to keep the legions around the center of the map, where they work together as a big phalanx. In fact, I don't think any of them... This one's taken a bit of hull damage. Got a lot of armor scraped off. But don't worry, they've got impact mitigation and polarized armor, and damage control, and elite combat endurance. Killing them is no easy task. In fact, it's kind of fun just to watch them do their thing. The Bluey. Now, one thing I've given them that's a bit underrated, or at least I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it, is the S-modded repair unit. It basically, the baseline effect cuts repair time in half. Then the S-mod bonus cuts that in half again, and also reduces overload time. If it was just overload time, then that effect is kind of secondary. It's nice. Reducing it by a third is pretty significant. But that repair time cut, so good. I haven't timed it, but with S-mod repair unit and damage control, a disabled Hellbore takes about 1.5 seconds to repair. It's really good. It makes these point defense, right? The biggest weakness for them is getting hit by torpedoes, but their point defense is good enough. It shouldn't really happen unless their point defense gets EMP'd. But with the repair time being about a second for those dual flags, the torpedo vulnerability is just much, much less of an issue. Didn't quite get that guy. Not really my best work. We'll try that again. Do you think you could stop dying? That would be nice. The main thing that kills phase frigates is chip damage. It's not that they don't typically get hit by big damage shots because the AI knows to phase through them. So usually what kills them is things like tactical lasers wearing them down over time. This is why combat endurance is really good on them. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. Elite combat endurance is actually really good on phase frigates because they often get to use the full 2,000 repair, whereas normal frigates it's pretty useless. Because usually what happens in normal frigates is they overload and then they immediately die. And if they don't die, then repairing back up to half hull is not going to save them next time. Phase frigates, though, they take a little bit of damage from tactical lasers, then they repair back up, and the repair speed is tripled in phase space, so that's pretty neat. And then they just repeat that cycle many times. Although they do occasionally do something stupid and die to like an auto-pulse laser. And it's a good thing I put expanded magazines on this thing. My first two are I've already shot 21 times. Very nice. Now maybe I could be more ammo efficient if I put these into separate fire groups or put them on alternating. I find my reflexes suffer a little bit. I'm not able to actually fire them all off as fast as I need to be effective in combat. So instead I just link them together. Which works better. It's a bit less efficient, but it does the job. I think there was an audio bug there. Didn't actually... didn't make a few... There was a few sounds missing there. So yeah, as you can see, we're hitting the cruiser spam phase as these guys come out. Okay, I was pointing at this guy and I pressed F. Apparently it decided to entropy amplify the Terminator drone? Okay, I thought pointing at the cruiser was pretty clear, but I guess the Terminator drone flew in the way. I didn't even know you could use that on fighters, to be honest. So, hey, you'll learn something new every day. Ain't that cool? Combat readiness will start decreasing soon. Well, I'll have to retreat you guys soon. So look at that. The needler's doing their work. And then it gets closer, and hopefully fires the antimatter blaster. Nope, he's running away. Oh, he did fire it. Good job. Hello, pylons. Goodbye, pylons. Yes, having 20 fighter bays and 15 pylons in the fleet does quite a lot to overwhelm enemy point defense. Or at the very least, it provides a lot of projectiles to get in the enemy's way, and occasionally block stuff from hitting you, or your reflectors, which is nice. Ooh. Ooh, I accidentally unphased because I was spam clicking. Happens to the best of us, really. Actually, why don't what's left of you guys just gang up on this thing? Because as long as it's facing the wrong way to shoot at one of you, then the other one can get behind it, yeah? Although maybe I should take on the Glimmer first. Now you guys are doing fine. See, look at that. You know, they've got their disadvantages compared to Omens, you know, where Omens can take on... They're not as likely to do something stupid like vent in front of a phase lance. Look at that. He really needs that repair, eh? Why don't you just leave, actually? You know, Omens are a lot less likely to do something stupid like that. Oh, hello. And we're hitting the boss fight section. But these things can kill cruisers a lot faster than Omens. Or Omens can take out enemy fighters and missiles to protect your ships. These guys just get to the capture points faster, you know. It's definitely the offensive option, whereas the Omens are the middle ground option, and then monitors are the defensive option. You know what, you think we're scared of you? Nah, get out of here. You're dead. Look, you're surrounded by claws. You're going to lose function on all your guns, and you're going to get pounded into scrap by Hellbores. Truly, what could be more beautiful than that? Now, with only cruisers left, now would be a good time for full assault, and you two can retreat. Which I recently learned does not interfere with full assault. I thought it did, but I guess only move orders and capture points do for some reason. But retreat orders don't interfere with full assault. Which, yeah, I would rather it be that way, because I want to do full assault with these guys, and I want them to retreat. Not much left except cleaning up these guys. And they could definitely use a few more stacks. Although again, I do like that they have a big obvious weakness. Only 180-degree frontal shield. You know, the Remnants have a few, like, because every other ship before, it's like 270-degree Omni shield on all of them. You know, all of the bigger ships anyways. So, it's nice to have ships that have different shield setups, and instead of more with 270 Omni. The fact that it creates a big weakness, neat. But to compensate for that, maybe they could use a little more stats. So they're a bit more dangerous from the front, you know? Wow, did any of them even need the repair? It looks like the answer is no. Have a few D-mods on these guys. By the time you've got a fleet like this, it's not going to be that expensive, relatively speaking. Ooh, that's a lot of supplies. Okay, so now we can talk about the design of the ships and the character skills. So, combat skills. I've only got a few. Field modulation is kind of mandatory if you're piloting a phase ship. Energy weapon mastery because it's on the way to these skills. And then combat endurance because I found that the elite bonus does save you quite a lot. And the baseline bonus is pretty nice. Other than that, I had a choice between target analysis and tactical drills, and, well, I don't think taking target analysis would change much. I already kill the Novas in just 2 volleys, and taking this doesn't change it to 1 volley. So the extra damage is not super worth it. And the elite bonus, and more importantly, the elite bonus, is not relevant for the Afflictor. You know, if I was piloting something with a lot of EMP damage, like say a Paragon with Tachyon Lances, then I would take target analysis. That's a big 60 DP ship with a lot of damage and a lot of EMP damage. So both the baseline bonus giving more damage and the elite bonus would be really relevant. On an Afflictor, not so much. I'll take the fleet-wide 5%. Along with Wolfpack Tactics for the phase frigates and phase quell tuning. And because phase afflictors, or pirate afflictors, only 6 deployment points, 5 of them, plus the regular one as the flagship, adds up to exactly 40 for phase quell tuning. Wonderful. Flux regulation is just good. Crew training is just good. Then all 3 officer skills, very nice. So we have 10 officers, 6 skills, 4 elite skills. Best of the best, and both carrier skills. Now they're diluted quite a bit with 20 fighter bays. But they're still, you know, nice little bonuses. I think that's... They get improved by having officers in the carriers, so that's 30% faster replacement rate. That's still pretty good. I think the only thing that's actually a quality of life bonus and not a combat bonus would be navigation. Everything else is combat related, so if this couldn't beat 2 Ordos, we would have a problem. Now when it comes to the actual ship builds, I think it's pretty straightforward. 4 antimatter blasters linked together. SMOD APCs, SMOD hardened systems, and Flux Coil Adjunct. It gives you that little bit of extra capacity that you're craving, max out capacity, and then you have 4 points left. So I grabbed Expanded Magazines, which even though I blew up, I still needed that. I used up most of the extra ammo. The SMOD bonus recharge rate doesn't apply here, because these don't recharge, so don't bother with that. Yeah, that's about it. And these guys, the Light Needlers, I think I've talked a little bit about why I chose them. I think it's justified. And look, you SMOD all of these, you get these weapons, max out caps, and that uses up exactly the 40 ordnance points you get. Pretty neat. Yeah, because what they're missing is the 2 universal mounts on the sides and 15 ordnance points, and it makes them a lot cheaper. But entry amplifier works the same, so that's pretty cool. As for the skills, damage control and elite combat endurance give them some nice little bit of extra survivability. Elite field modulation is pretty much mandatory. And the difference it makes is huge, so I would never skip that. Target analysis. Oh, right. Maybe switch the elite bonus off of target analysis. 100% extra bonus damage to weapons and engines is kind of relevant for these guys. Because they do get shot, because the enemy does shoot back a fair bit. Yeah, whatever. You could choose between. The elite bonus for damage control I don't find super useful, because they only have 1500 hull. So if they're taking a big shots that would trigger that elite bonus, they're probably just dead. And I tested it, and it doesn't save them from capital grade explosions. They still just blow up from full hull. So it just doesn't seem very useful. Elite ordnance expertise gets them, lets them squeeze out a little bit of extra flux capacity. And we're maxing out at 7,600 here. Combined with the APC, these things can move when they're in phase. Pretty nice. And systems expertise is there to help them spam out their entropy amplifiers. Because even if they're not fighting, they're at least debuffing the enemy. Ain't that lovely? Then we've got the Legions. I really like this build. Now, in theory, you could drop the caps. In fact, this is how I originally designed them, and use that 22 ordnance points to get 4 Thunders. What I found is that they overload a lot, because they need that extra capacity to give them a little more breathing room. And with that, they don't overload nearly as much. But that means downgrading the Thunders to these, which are essentially the poor man's Thunders. The Talons bring Swarmers, the Gladius brings the machine guns, and then these bring the ion cannons. So they're kind of like Thunders, just without the 6,000 engagement range or 450 top speed. But the nice thing is their top speeds do match together really nicely. Like we got 325, 300, 275. So the claws are not really slowing everybody down all that much. And with the buff to the Gladius giving them better flares, that helps, and the EMP damage from the claws helps compensate for how fragile the Talons are. So overall, they play together pretty nicely. I like them quite a bit. Then as for weapons, we've got Vulcans on the side. Arguably you don't need these ones, but in a real battle, they do get torpedoes coming in from the side, and that extra Vulcan can save them. Now, I like to put ballistic rangefinder on these guys, because compared to the 14 Legion, they have one unique advantage, which is that they've got these large ballistics, which means that ballistic rangefinder is even better on the Legion baseline, because they get that extra range bonus for their small ballistics, where the 14 Legion doesn't get that. Now, most people prefer the large missiles over large ballistics, and fair enough, large missiles are really good. But this gives it this unique little advantage where you might want to use the Legion for this. Now, I would generally use 14 anyways, but, you know, if it's got this unique advantage, I might as well try and use it. And so, I've got these light needlers, not heavy needlers, because heavy needlers would only get 100 range, and the light ones get 200 range, which lets them match up to the Hellbores. And the results, I think, speak for themselves. They perform pretty well. But with the small slots taken, we can't just slap Vulcans there. That would be, we can't just take the lazy option. So we've got the dual flax on the front. And a pair of dual flax, ooh, they do a really good job at stopping torpedoes. And then the last 3 slots, well, we don't really have the flux to put more weapons, but we also don't really have the ordnance points to get expanded missile racks. So instead, we get pylons, which also nicely give it some EMP damage, because that's the one thing low-tech ballistic focused ships kind of lack. Yeah, hypervelocity drivers have some, but they don't really have any shield piercing options. And pylons give you a little bit of that. So, it's a nice choice. Flux stats, pretty straightforward, maxing out the vents, getting enough caps that it doesn't overload constantly. But even if it does overload, S-modded repair unit does bring it down. I've seen cases where, because normally, like if you're up against a Radiant, the Cyclones have a short enough cooldown that they can overload you with 1 volley and then blast you to pieces with the 2nd volley. But with this reduced repair time, overload duration, I've seen a Legion overload to the last torpedo from the Cyclone, and then the overload ended just in time for it to shoot down the next volley. It was very incredible to watch. And I think I mentioned the repair time already. Combined with damage control, the repair time is just so short. Wow, it's just, it removes that window of vulnerability when the point defense gets EMP'd, which does happen. Like if you're up against a Radiant with ion beams, and inevitably the Radiant will have target analysis elite, so it's got a pretty good chance of shutting down something. And if it shuts down your point defense, you're in trouble. Advanced turret gyros might be a little too good. They might have to tone it down to just 5% to smaller ships, rather than 5% per size class difference. Because when it's per size class difference, it's fine on smaller on like destroyers and cruisers, but on capitals, ooh, it is big. It's a big bonus. 5%, 10%, and 15%, plus the 25% to missiles and fighters. It's a lot. It's a lot. But hey, as long as it's like this, I'm going to keep using it. That extra turn speed is another thing that helps the Hellbores hit smaller targets, combined with the elite ballistic mastery. And 25% bonus damage to missiles and fighters is like half the point defense skill. Combined with these dual flags, already having really high DPS, it works pretty good. And then I've S-modded heavy armor. I just decided to eat the maneuverability penalty, along with elite impact mitigation. It's not too bad. Now, solar shielding, with the damage reduction cut from 20 to 10%, it's not super great, but, you know, this ship does rely on all... See, it applies to shields, armor, and hull, which is pretty rare. There's not too many damage reduction bonuses that apply to all 3. And this Legion is something that's going to be using all 3. Because every ship that has shields is going to be using them. Then it's got, good armor, and it's got good hull, thanks to damage control and elite combat endurance. So it's going to be using all 3 layers of defense, and solar shielding applies to all 3. And given that the Remnant is like 90% energy damage, it still seems worth it in this case. And yeah, I think that covers everything. It's not a complicated fleet, because it's only a few builds to cover. So yeah, that's about it.